How I turned my database into $1 million business. Because if you're collecting names, emails, and phone numbers and doing nothing with them, this is a huge mistake I see in our industry. So grab a pen and paper and get ready to get to work because I'm going to give you a sneak peek into how I did that. Are you tired of feeling like you're doing all the things as a real estate agent but still not seeing consistent results? Well, that ends right now. Welcome to The Profitable Real Estate Agent, the show for agents who are ready to stop winging it and start building a profitable and sustainable business. This season, we're going to cut through the noise and focus on exactly what it takes to make $100K as a real estate agent, without the guesswork, without the overwhelm, and without wasting time on things that don't move the needle in your business. I'm pulling back the curtain on the exact framework that took me from my first $100K to $500K to building a 7-figure business. So if you haven't hit $100K yet or you struggle with inconsistency, don't worry, I've got you covered. It's time to take action. Let's get to work. What if I told you that you're leaving thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and even millions of dollars on the table every day if you don't follow up with the leads you already have? Okay, did I get your attention? Because follow-up is how I built a 7-figure database. And you can as well. Now, for me, early on in my career, I realized that creating a system around this would be critical, not just for my success, but for my sanity. And because I prioritized it early on, I don't chase new business anymore. My lead generation strategy is my database. My pipeline stays full and my closings stay consistent because I decided to pour into my database very early on. And in coaching agents and speaking around the country, I find so many agents don't follow up the way they should. And it's not because they don't want to or desire to, it's because no one sat them down and taught them a simple, clear plan and also why it's important. So from here on out, I want you to view your database as a gold mine. This is something that will yield you your highest ROI in your business ever. But here's the catch. It only works if you actually use it. Think about this for a moment. How much time and energy and even money have you spent to get one lead? Every weekend, you've taken time away from your family to host open houses. You've made hundreds of calls or maybe spent hours creating content on social media. All that effort to get one name, one email, one phone number. And if you don't follow up, you have just wasted it. Because now this contact is sitting in your database and is worth $0 if you don't nurture and follow up with it. Just like lead generation is part of your job as an agent, follow-up needs to be prioritized as well. I mean, if you've listened to me long enough, you know this is one of your core fundamentals. I've said before, most agents were never taught an easy to understand way to do this. Maybe you've read a book or watched a webinar or followed an influencer, but then you're left asking, okay, but what do I actually do? How do I apply this for myself in a way that makes sense? And that's exactly why so many agents either avoid it altogether or find themselves being inconsistent and sporadic with lead follow-up. And this leads you to missed opportunities and lost income. And now I go really deep into my 7-figure database system inside my signature program. But today what I wanted to do is give you a little sneak peek. And I want to give you 4 simple steps to get you started so it doesn't feel overwhelming and you actually know what to do next. Hey, a real quick pause before we go deeper. If you're listening right now and thinking, I want a clear plan to finally reach 100K, then check out my signature program. It's my step-by-step framework for real estate agents who are ready to stop winging it and start building real results. Inside, you're going to learn the exact fundamentals to build the foundation to hitting 100K. We're going to cover everything from mastering your buyer and seller consultations to building your database and delivering a 5-star client experience and everything in between. You're going to get access to my scripts, templates, and checklists. Plus, we're going to have coaching, accountability, and support so you never feel alone. Click on the link in the show notes now to join the roadmap to 100K. All right, let's take you back to the episode. Step 1. You have to have a database, which is one place where you can keep all of your leads and contacts. And look, don't overthink it. You don't need to have all the bells and whistles because trust me, the companies, when you call them, will try to upcharge you. And this can be very expensive. Now, I use my brokerage's database because I own my contacts And if I ever decided to leave it for any reason or maybe leave the business, those contacts come with me. So what matters is that you have one central spot where everybody goes. Step 2. Now, once you meet these people, you've actually got to put them in your database. When you're talking to someone and having that two-way conversation, try to get their full name, email address, phone number, and a mailing address if possible. Now, I know this is asking for a lot, and over time, you'll probably be able to acquire this information. But if we've got a full name, email or phone, anything we've got, they need to go into your database. I do want to talk about the people in your phone. And I see a lot of debate or conversations around this, and some agents feel strongly about whether or not to add them into your database. But here's my take. I say add them, and here's why. A lot of agents think that they have to add these contacts, that it means that you're dumping a monthly newsletter or drip campaign. This is not true. It doesn't mean that you have to do that. And look, I actually built my 7-figure database, and I never sent one newsletter. Let me say that again. I never sent one newsletter. The reason to add them is simple. This is actually so you can call and text them in a systematic way. These are people that already know, like, and trust you. So why wouldn't you make sure that they're in your system? Now, you get to decide, of course, what's right for you, but I don't want you to ignore the people in your phone as a touch point. Adding these contacts is the easiest way to make sure you're not a secret agent to the people closest to you. Here's your step 3. Now what we have to do is tag and organize your database. I'm going to do my best to explain this when I'm teaching this class in my program or in person. I have a big slide and I have examples. So I'm going to try to verbally explain this to you. So follow along if possible. How you do this is going to depend on the database program and system that you decide to go with. And as you go through each contact, what you're going to want to start doing is tagging each of them to make sure your database is what we call searchable. This will help you see where people are at in your pipeline at a quick glance. Here are a few starter tags that I recommend. We want to tag everybody with an alphabet tag. So what do I mean by this? You're going to go in there to your system and create A, B, C, D, all the way through Z, each single letter. And this is going to actually make your calls and texts easier. And I'm going to explain that in a moment. The next thing you're going to do is we're going to identify who the type of client is. Are they a buyer? Are they a seller? Are they a buyer and seller? Or maybe they're an investor. Now you can get super specific here, but I don't want you to overcomplicate this. Let's keep this very simple to start. And over time, you're going to develop tags that make sense for you and your business. For example, you might tag them as a teacher or a police officer or something specific. So if you have a special event and you're trying to gear it for those people, then you can quickly sort and organize your database that way. I hope that makes sense. The last tag I want you to prioritize right now is a hot, warm, and cold. And this will help you quickly identify where people are at in the process. Are they a hot lead? So meaning, are they 0 to 3 months? Are they a warm lead, 3 to 6 months? And are they a cold lead, 6+ months? Step 4, once your database is organized, now it's actually time to take action and start calling and texting people on a quarterly basis. And here's how it's going to work. So remember before I said you're going to create a letter, a tag letter of each letter of the alphabet, so A through Z. Now what you're going to do is, let's say, for example, I'm in your database, Vanessa Barnez. You would tag me with the letter B, okay? And then what you would do is, if I'm in your rotation for the week to call me, then you would identify and sort by all the B's, and then I would come up in the sort. What you want to do, though, is you want to be intentional with this conversation. Bring value. Make sure you're taking notes on the conversation so that way you can bring relevant information to the conversation when you're on the phone with them or sending a text message. And that's it. No fancy tech needed. Just a simple way to make sure no one falls through the cracks. Even with a simple plan like this, I still see agents fall into the few traps that kill their follow-up before it ever works. Now, before we wrap up today, I want to make sure that you avoid some common mistakes that I see many agents make when it comes to following up. Follow up is going to take time. Creating this $1 million database took time for me. This wasn't an overnight thing. And of course, not all leads that you meet are necessarily ready to buy or sell right away. I've had clients that have taken 10 years, 7 years, 5 years. But for me, the follow-up was worth every call and text because I built amazing relationships with my clients. These are now my family, and they feel the same way about me. So don't fall into this trap of thinking 1 or 2 calls or texts is enough, because it is not. Even if they never call you back, you keep reaching out to them. I'm going to say it again. Even if you never hear back, you keep reaching out to them until they flat out tell you, take me off your list and stop calling me. That's how you build real trust, because I'll be honest, I've had situations where I never heard back from someone and they've called me years later and said, you were the only one that stayed in touch with me. This is the power of the follow-up. Follow-up also has to be something that you block on your calendar every day. Remember, this is one of your core fundamentals. How much time you spend on follow-up will depend on the size of your database. As you continue to lead generate and add people, you're going to spend more time dedicated to what? Following up. Make sure this time is protected and create a habit now. Because if you don't protect this time, you're going to quickly fall behind. And that's when opportunities and money starts just slipping through your fingers. And here's the bigger picture. Inconsistent income almost always comes back to inconsistent follow-up. How much money you make is directly correlated to how well you cultivate and care for your database. When you invest the time and energy into a systematic approach, you create a business that's predictable and sustainable. And I don't want you to get discouraged if you don't see results right away. Remember, I said follow-up takes time, but stick with it because your database will be the thing that keeps your business steady no matter what happens in the market. So I want to ask you, where are you going to start? Jump over to my IG and share what resonated most from today's episode. I'll see you there. Bye for now. Success as a real estate agent comes down to a decision to show up, take action, and stay committed. So don't just listen. Apply what you learned today and put it into motion. If you need help getting started, I want you to grab my free 60 lead gen strategy guide so you can start finding the right lead gen strategies that'll work for you. And if you're a motivated, ambitious agent who's ready to hit 6 figures, join my Roadmap to 100K program. You'll find both links in the show notes. If you found this episode valuable, please share it with a fellow agent and leave me a 5-star rating and review, as it helps more agents just like you find the show. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you next time on The Profitable Real Estate Agent.